So let's just stop and think about this for a second. We eat, we drink, we take out the trash, but how does a single cell, the tiny building block of you, do all that? It doesn't have a mouth, and it definitely doesn't have a garbage can. It needs a much, much smarter system to stay alive.
You know, the best way to wrap your head around this is to picture a cell as a bustling, gated city. And that city wall, that's the cell membrane. It acts like a super strict security guard, being incredibly selective about what it lets in and what it kicks out. It has to control all that traffic, or the whole city would grind to a halt.
Okay, so first up, imports. How does our little cellular city bring supplies in? Well, this crucial process is called endocytosis. And that little prefix, endo, is your big clue here. It means within or inside.
So what's actually happening here? Endocytosis is when the cell membrane itself literally reaches out, wraps around a substance, and just pulls it in. It's not a passive thing at all. The cell's actively using energy to go out and grab what it needs from the outside world.
So how does it work? Well, it's this really cool three-step dance. First, the cell membrane starts to wrap itself around whatever it's trying to bring in. Then, it pinches off, creating this perfect little bubble, which we call a vesicle. And finally, that vesicle, with its cargo tucked safely inside, is brought all the way into the cell to be used.
So that's how things get in. But you know, a healthy city can't just import stuff all day. It has to export too, whether that's sending out products it's made or just getting rid of garbage. And that brings us to the flip side, exocytosis. And yeah, you probably guessed it, exo means out. Exocytosis is basically the whole process in reverse. Instead of grabbing something from the outside, the cell takes a vesicle that's already packed and ready to go on the inside, moves it to the edge, and fuses with the outer membrane to spit its contents out. It's the cell's way of saying, "Here world, have this."
And the mechanics? They're just as slick, a perfect mirror image of the import process. A little vesicle, maybe it's full of waste or a really important hormone, makes its way to the edge of the cell. It then merges with the outer membrane, and pop, it opens up to the outside and releases whatever it was carrying.
All right, so we've met the two main players in our cell shipping game. Now, to really make sure this all sticks, let's put them side by side. A little head-to-head comparison.
This table breaks it down perfectly. First, direction, the most obvious one. Endo is in, exo is out. A super easy way to remember it, endocytosis is for things that enter, and exocytosis is for things that exit. Then there's the purpose. One's for bringing in the good stuff like nutrients, the other's for getting rid of waste or sending out signals like hormones. And finally, the key action. For endo, the membrane folds inward to make a bubble. For exo, a bubble from inside fuses outward to release its stuff. Simple as that.
Okay, so we've covered the how, but that brings us to the biggest question of all. So what? Who cares? Why is this constant, microscopic shipping and receiving so important? Well, it turns out these two little processes are behind almost everything your body does. I mean, this isn't just some abstract concept in a textbook. It is happening in you right now. As you digest your last meal, your cells are using endocytosis to pull in those nutrients. If you have a white blood cell hunting down a bacteria right now, it's literally gonna eat it using endocytosis. And every single thought, every nerve signal, that's your brain cells using exocytosis to talk to each other. It is everywhere.
And just to give you a sense of the sheer scale of this, look at this number. That's a quadrillion, a 1 with 15 zeros after it. That is a rough estimate of how many times these processes are happening in your body every single second. It's an absolutely staggering amount of activity. It's almost impossible to even comprehend.
And that leads us to one last kind of wild thought. Thinking, fighting off infections, getting energy from food, everything we've talked about depends on this nonstop, invisible dance. So it really makes you wonder, right? If this whole shipping department just stopped for even a second, how quickly would everything else just fall apart? It really shows you the incredible, relentless work your cells are doing just to keep you going.